Detroit? Come on. There we go. Excellent. Woo! We're recording this. Come on, you got to be bigger than you are. That's great. Fantastic. Yay! In respect out of time, I'm going to quickly introduce our panel so we can get to the meat of the matter. Right to my immediate right is Steve Crum, Executive Director of Genivi. To his immediate right is Kyle Walworth, Vice President, Harman Connected Services. And to his immediate right is Michael Gurr, Industrial and Automotive Practice Group at Hortonworks. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. As with all the panels that you have ever seen me do, we had a phone call to talk about our names and our titles and the off-book topics, but other than that, everything you're about to hear is not scripted. So if we get to questions and answers, then we will begin talking about that. But otherwise, please respect the fact that this is completely unscripted. The gentlemen do not know what questions are coming away. So most of you know Genivi. It was founded in 2009. It's been a perennial participant in our automotive ecosystem. They have hosted some of the most amazing networking events. They have brought forward some amazing technology conversations about collaboration. They are going to be hosting the most sought-after party ticket tonight at 6 p.m. at the Michigan Brew House down here on Novi Road, so you're all welcome to come here immediately afterwards. And for the first time ever, they're actually hosting a booth inside the exhibit hall. But why I give you that update is because right now we're about to hear Genivi in an entirely new light. Genivi has gone through a metamorphosis, as has the industry. And what we're going to talk about today is the role that Genivi is playing, bringing together a broader ecosystem than previously, in trying to deliver valuable and insightful and real-time vehicle data into the smart city fabric and what that might look like. In January, Genivi quickly signed a partnership deal with Las Vegas. And so the backdrop to our conversation today is this collaboration with the City of Las Vegas to try and improve both driver safety, but pedestrian safety, and overarchingly the citizens of Las Vegas safety. So with that backdrop, I'm going to start going on. But Steve, given that backdrop, explain a little bit more what prompted this sort of engagement, why Genivi, and sort of where are we at now 6 months after that sort of collaboration agreement?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, Genivi is well known for infotainment, and the board of directors a number of months ago, about a year and a half ago in fact, began thinking, well, we haven't necessarily conquered IVI. There's still a lot of work to do there. If you think about IVI in an autonomous vehicle context, there's a lot of green field that can be done there. But clearly there was a move in the industry towards connected vehicles, and we felt like the head unit in the vehicle was one of the main transit vehicles for the relationship between the driver and connected things out there, whether they're cities, whether they're homes, whether they're infrastructure, whether they're just even phones in the car. And so we began exploring, is there a place for Genivi? Is there a place for open standards in vehicle connectivity? And the answer is yes. And the reason it's yes is because when you think about how cars talk, how cities talk, how homes talk, how wearables and smart devices talk, they don't necessarily talk the same language. In fact, they don't. And so we began to think about ways in which we could introduce an open standard into the connected vehicle context, and produced something called remote vehicle interaction, which I think we'll get to a little bit later, which enables connected vehicles and running Genivi technology to basically talk to other things in their same language. The Las Vegas pilot was an opportunity for us to deploy that open standard in the context of the city. And so we've done so. 6 months later, we have installed our first vehicle. It took us 6 months, believe it or not, to install a single vehicle, but it's functioning, it's talking, it's exchanging data, and more importantly, it's informing the City of Las Vegas, the Regional Transportation Commission, and the Nevada DOT, all the way up to the state level to the governor's office. It's equipping them with data they've never had before. They don't have roving sensors in Las Vegas, and now they do. They're called cars. So, Kyle, I mean, we know this metamorphosis that you've gone through personally, which mirrors the industry, right? Multiple different acquisitions. We won't get into it, but you have seen transformational change in who is members. In fact, immediately to your right is a brand new member, which would have never been on the screen earlier had we talked about Genivi and told content. Well, where does Harman see this fitting in terms of the booth has a great number of products that you're offering,
we're seeing something new here, and your role as chairman, how are you guys synthesizing where Genivi's going now? And it's not IVI, it's IVI plus. Where do you guys fit in that? How does that help? Does it align well, or is it challenging you? Where do you guys see yourself moving as Genivi moves?
It's a great question. So, you know, the role of a tier one used to be judged on how well they could make a box. Now moving forward, a tier one is going to be judged on how well they can make a box connect to other things, whatever those other things might be, a smart city, a smart whatever. And you see a large transition in really the entire traditional tier one base, the likes of, you know, maybe a Visteon buying an Go or a Continental buying an Electrobit, or what Harman has done in acquiring an OTA company in Red Bend, an embedded software company, an Intelligent Cloud company that did TV, a cybersecurity company. So the vision is that the reality is we all know the car's connected, and how the tier one fits in that is going to be the added services and values and benefits that go beyond that. Now I have the distinct pleasure of being a member of Samsung, and we're all just starting to learn on how that will manifest itself. But it's great because Genivi has actually been interacting as well with the Open Connectivity Foundation, which Samsung is very active within. So we have a number of demonstrations that we've done over the last year or so, connecting the vehicle through Genivi's remote vehicle interaction solution to IoT home solutions in conjunction with OCN.
So great opportunity to segue then for Michael, because Open Connectivity Foundation, a lot of people, that would not have been a word that would have necessarily been communicated in this. In fact, the last 7 years we've been here, we haven't talked about OCF or some of the other things that's been on the mobile side. But open source and open collaboration has been at the heart of what we've all been doing, whether it was with time before or time here in Genivi. And with the expansion now, so Michael, a lot of people may not know who Hortonworks is. I'll give you a few minutes of what is Hortonworks. I know what it is, but give it to them so that they understand where it's at. Because I'm going to ask this next question about open source. So let them have the concept of who Hortonworks is, and then I got an open source question coming your way.
Excellent. So how many of you in here have heard of Hadoop? Right? So Hadoop is the platform where you store and process massive amounts of data, right? So unstructured data, all those types of IoT data. Hadoop is the platform that you store it and you process it in. But so Hortonworks, we're a Hadoop company. We also use a technology called Apache NiFi, which moves data. So that's called Hortonworks Data Flow. So we're an open source company. Our products are all pure open source from Apache. How do we make money? As you know, most of you who run big companies, you're not going to run open source software to run your enterprise unsupported. So what Hortonworks does is we take all these Apache components, we freeze them at a rev level, we certify the product, and then we provide support subscriptions, right? So, by the way, we employ 75% of the Hadoop committers, so we're the experts, and we provide that frontline support for companies so that they can undertake their big data initiatives.
So, perfect setup, and that really wasn't scripted. Open source, open collaboration. Genivi's been open since 2009. You weren't a member until recently. Talk about the motivation for why you joined, and giving context to this potential pivot that we're going to be talking about, which is Genivi is more than just IVI. It literally is the gateway to the opportunity of data transformation from vehicle to city or endpoint. So talk to us a little bit about the thought process that brought you into the configuration, and then more importantly, how things are going as you've been a member.
So first of all, we have a natural alignment to open source and open standards, right? One thing about Hortonworks, like I said, we provide support. And some of our competitors provide some proprietary software on top of that. That is not part of our company. We are pure open source. We maintain pure open source software. So, first of all, there was this kind of desire to participate in communities that are open source. But the other thing that we're seeing, we work with lots of different clients that cross those boundaries we talked about. So the connected car, we work with companies like Ford, we work with companies like Progressive, usage-based insurance we're seeing, right? We're working with companies that are getting into smart home and City of Las Vegas, smart cities. So I think there's a huge kind of movement, A, to open source, but B, to what we're calling connected world, and Genivi moving in that direction was completely aligned with where we want to go as well.
So, Steve, we in many different sessions we talked about RVI. We've had JLR as one of the prominent sort of architectural genesis behind it. But quite simply for the folk, what is RVI, and why did Las Vegas agree to partner with Genivi as opposed to any other company or entity that's doing work in the vehicle?
Yeah, great question. So RVI has basically three components to it: remote car control. It's the idea of being able to unlock your car from a distance in a secure way. Big data movement, which we'll talk a lot more about here in the context of Las Vegas, and software over the air. So, three components that are desired in the industry, in the automotive industry, need to be secure, but also would benefit from an open standard, a standard way of doing it that can be adopted across multiple OEMs, tiers, and so forth. Las Vegas became interested for a couple of reasons. First of all, they have the delightful distinction of having the second highest pedestrian fatality rate in the United States. Don't ask me who has the first, I don't know. But they have a lot of them, and I think it has something to do with alcohol. I'm not sure, but is there a way that connected vehicles, through driver awareness and through data exchange, that we could help them with that challenge? They also have traffic congestion problems. The way to think about Las Vegas is every weekend they have a Super Bowl. That's how many people come into Las Vegas every weekend. And so they have huge challenges around traffic congestion. And so the thing that was attractive to Las Vegas when I went and made the Genivi pitch, if you will, was most cities have lines of vendors at their door saying, tell us your problem, we'll fix it. But it was refreshing to them when we came to them as an open alliance of multiple organizations and multiple standards and said, look, we're not selling you anything. We just want to provide this and test it and make sure it works, and we think you would gain value from it. So that was the beginning point of the relationship, and they just jumped all over that opportunity, and now are hopefully going to reap great benefits out of that.
So that sort of brings a different angle. So Harman Connected Services. Solutions, got Samsung. I think first off, we should be able to get IoT-enabled beer cans and others, right? That can go off in the light, right? If we're going to get that right. You know they have it list, right? They have it right now in bars, right? So when you drink, when it gets down to a certain level, your drink will send an order, and then it lights as a service. You haven't seen that yet?
I haven't seen
yes,
yeah. I don't know as many bars
No, but it brings up an interesting. So as the executive chairman, as the president, chairman of Genivi, membership has always been historically automotive. Yet, as we move into this world where Las Vegas and other municipalities really recognize and understand the value of open collaboration, talk a little bit, again, from Harman's perspective, why other companies should consider, exactly like what Horton considered, to join. I mean, this is a much broader opportunity than just trying to sell IVI to a few OEMs and maybe some content providers. So talk about what that means for you guys, especially under this big Samsung umbrella, but given all your backdrops.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate it exactly back to Samsung. In fact, just 2 days ago, I had a conversation with another Samsung person who was president of the Connected Car Consortium, and as well I was introduced to a Samsung gentleman through OCF, through the interaction that we're doing with RVI. But the beauty thing about Genivi, in specific to answer your question, and why would others want to join, the ecosystem of the connected car is so large, and Poliak had just mentioned that he had originally told startups many years back that it was too difficult to get in. Now he's changed his mind that no, there's room for everyone, right? So the beauty of bringing together a group of automotive companies is just that. You have those to leverage if you're an outside company that just has a small piece of the ecosystem. You don't know the full automotive ecosystem. That's one huge benefit of Genivi, because I think from a Hortonworks perspective, Hortonworks, and I had worked with one of my colleagues initially bringing Hortonworks in, and huge open source company, not much in automotive, and they saw a great opportunity to actually leverage the 100+ automotive companies. So that's the definite benefit of non-automotive companies coming in. And I think it's going to be hugely leveraged in smart cities and these other places the car will be reaching out to, I think.
So Michael, you an open source company through and through. Where do you see, or do you have any inclination of where municipalities are going to go in terms of allowing data that's being collected to be actually accessed? So if a third party wants to participate in this revolution and doesn't necessarily want to join Genivi, or maybe doesn't want to necessarily join the municipality, is Hortonworks enabling, or companies like you enabling open data access as part of this? It may not be part of the test, but can you foreshadow where this might go so people can understand what kind of access is going to be available so that other services in addition to things can be offered to municipalities based on the work that you gentlemen have done?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of work with a lot of different industries in terms of how do you blend data potentially from other industries, that content together. One of the things you've always got to be able to be mindful of is PII information and things like that. So what we're finding is that use cases that involve, so for example, augmenting the location data, say with offers and those types of things like that. As long as there's no PII information, personally identifiable information exchange, we find that those use cases tend to be acceptable. But there's obviously a lot of issues around privacy and legal types of issues that we have to work through on a case by case basis.
Okay. So the open question, to jump over to you one second. What are the current challenges based on what we've learned from Las Vegas, what Genivi's learned? What are some of the challenges facing Genivi as an organization, whether it's structural, governance, or others? What are some of the challenges that need to be addressed as Genivi and others go through this metamorphic change from I'm just building cars to now I'm building pieces of an overarching transportation fabric?
I can answer the second one with regard to Las Vegas. So with regard to the challenges, I think overall, I lost my train of thought. You start with it.
I think that what we've learned in the little bit of time that we've been working in metropolitan areas like Las Vegas is that procurement cycles, planning, execution is glacial.
Even slower than automotive?
And even if you bring those two together in a marriage, you've got a real challenge. And so things like over communication, just really solid, sprint type project management is essential to make the project successful. Making sure that everybody's on the same page, because cities have their own problems. They don't think about the things that we in this room think about. They think about asphalt, and they think about timing on their traffic lights, and they think about things like that. Pedestrians walking across in the middle of a block as opposed to at the intersections. Those are the things they think about. They don't think about the opportunities that they could benefit from of having these roving sensors all over their streets and systems and so forth. And so it's partly an educational thing that we need to do a better job as an automotive industry to educate them of the potential. But also we need to together hold hands and speed up the process so that we can get things done much more.
On your second question, I think the challenge is leaning forward for Genivi. So Genivi is currently focusing on what we call the 3 C's. Code, collaboration, and connectivity. I think we've talked a little bit about connectivity with RBI and code. As Steve said, we haven't, we'll never be fully there for infotainment, but we're well along the process. Collaboration is one area that I think we're focusing on quite a bit going forward. So in the infotainment space, it's fairly well defined with regard to getting open source. But as more and more code goes into other pieces of the vehicle and autonomous and ADAS and reconfigurable clusters, we are positioning ourselves much closer to the likes of AutoSAR. We're creating the AutoSAR adaptive platform, which will be Linux-based. So it would be a shame for the industry if yet another fork of Linux came out there we are working very closely to keep at least the same baseline because most of the memberships in both organizations are common.
So you'll note that we're 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 almost end. This was by design. It's not that we didn't want your questions, but we wanted to make sure that most of the information that we wanted to share was out there. Please note that all three of the gentlemen will be in the booth on and off both the remainder of today and tomorrow. All of you are invited to the Genivi Beer and Open Festival drinking session at the Michigan Beer Company down on Novi. All three gentlemen will be there as well for further questions and answers. Please give a round of applause. Thank you very much to the team up here.